Why should they leave a very competitive car and go in the moment in a less competitive car? But if you move from one car to the other, or from one team to the other, there's more challenge. There's a new challenge.
Lewis Hamilton, the generational driver and the greatest of all time. One move really defined Lewis Hamilton's career. It was moving from McLaren to Mercedes. The move was huge because McLaren led him to a championship winning season, and Mercedes was still an up-and-coming developing team who just lost Michael Schumacher and was the greatest of all time at that moment with 7 championships. With 7 championships going into his 2023 season, Lewis Hamilton has defined himself as the greatest of all time with 103 wins, 103 pole positions, and 191 podium finishes. In McLaren, Hamilton had 21 victories. He quadrupled it with 82 victories in that Mercedes car. This shocking move resulted in Lewis Hamilton becoming the greatest of all time. There are 4 defining moments in Lewis Hamilton's career so far with Mercedes that have described why he is the greatest of all time. 2014, battle in the desert. 2018, P14 to P1. 2019, Mercedes terrible call. And 2020, slippery park. These 4 moments are 4 of many moments that could have been chosen for why Lewis Hamilton has really defined himself at Mercedes. But these are the 4 that I thought really defined his career so far at Mercedes. Battle in the desert. The 3rd race of the 2014 season with the highly anticipated Lewis Hamilton with teammate Nico Rosberg. Best friends who have always been extremely pacey, who are now finally battling in the same machinery. Lewis started this race in 2nd after a great qualifying, but was not out-qualified by Rosberg himself. Hamilton takes the lead in the first corner and ends up leading the race for 19 laps before getting passed from Rosberg on lap 19, which was a deep dive by Rosberg. Rosberg took the lead and ends up going on a 2nd stint for the medium tire, while Lewis stays out and takes the alternate strategy, which is taking the softer tire for the race. Rosberg gets end up actually helped by a safety car period, which does not go to Hamilton's advantage and eats into Hamilton's actual lead, which was around 10 seconds with the softer compound. 11 laps were led for Hamilton to actually try and make this win happen. On a softer compound, he needed to defend like a lion. And he does. He defends like a lion for Nico Rosberg and ends up taking the victory in a head-to-head battle with multiple overtakes going back and forth, deep dive bombs, trading back and forth on each and every single lap up until the very end. On the weaker compound, might I add. This was the start of Lewis Hamilton asserting dominance to Nico Rosberg on why he is the leader in Mercedes and why he will define himself here at Mercedes. He talks about this being one of the best calculator races I've ever had. How was I using my power and how I was positioning my car? And it really was. He was positioning in the perfect spots, wasn't defending like crazy, but was defending right. That is something that Lewis has always kept throughout his whole entire career, and that is driving in that perfect style and never being way too aggressive, but being just the right amount and always being fair. P14 to P1. We go to Hockenheim, where the Mercedes car is predicted to be fast, but Ferrari is also fast in 2018. Vettel takes pole, Lewis Hamilton is out in Q2, P14 with an issue in his car. The chances of him winning are slim to none, but we see an insane wet race in Hockenheim. Miracles do happen. Bono, Lewis Hamilton's race engineer, talks about the insane race on how Lewis went through the field and really did make a miracle happen. By lap 3, we already had Lewis Hamilton in the top 10 with points, getting past a Charles Leclerc in the Alfa Romeo, but with a large field spread at Hockenheim, he was already a pit stop worth of time behind the race leader at this point and hoping for the threatened rain to come. Vettel was taking the lead and really going past anything that was in sight. Bottas was still 4 seconds behind and really could not help Hamilton when it came to a winning factor. By lap 40, Hamilton is now losing his touch with the worn softs to actually catch up and win this race. Lap 43, Hamilton pits for ultra softs, gambling that there will be no rain for the rest of this race. Lap 52 comes around with Hamilton still making his way around the track, hoping for something to happen, and lap 52 happens where Vettel ends up actually crashing off the track and taking himself out of the race. Kimi ends up actually pitting for fresh ultra softs, rejoining third behind Hamilton and both Bottas, which ends up leading for Hamilton to finish the race in P1 from P14, an achievement that is not achieved by many and was an insane feature at that time. 2019, Mercedes' terrible call. News of Niki Lauda's death happens on the weekend of 2019 Monaco. Mercedes decided to dedicate part of the car, specifically the halo, red for Niki Lauda, while Hamilton also wears a red helmet. The significance of this is that Niki Lauda was actually one of the biggest people to bring in Lewis Hamilton to the Mercedes team. So it meant a lot for him to actually win a race for Niki. The race starts with Hamilton in pole and leading the race comfortably at the very beginning. A safety car happens around lap 11 of 78 laps in Monaco. Monaco is one of the tracks with the most laps on it. Everybody comes into the pits due to a safety car period. Hamilton comes out on mediums while everybody comes out on hards. The medium tire was definitely not the right strategy call and actually put Hamilton at a big disadvantage to people on the hards because he can't push as hard and will have to conserve his tires for 67 laps, while the mediums are only predicted to last for about 50. It starts green again on lap 15, which gives Hamilton the insane objective to keep his tires awake for 64 laps. Verstappen is on his tail for most of this race, where Hamilton is actually trying to conserve his tires to last them to the end. By being a beast, by lasting in the race, by keeping his first place the whole entire race. On lap 67, Verstappen goes for a dive on Hamilton where he defends him off, sets the car perfectly with the weaker tires, and ends up going to finish the race in first place, keeping his tires alive, finishing for Niki, taking the win, and really showing us how insane of a driver Hamilton is, even when the conditions are not how they should be. 2020 Slippery Park, or known as the Turkish Grand Prix Istanbul Park. Hamilton definitely had the fastest car in 2020, and there is no debate around that. What he did in this race was a defining moment in his career to just even more signify how great of a driver this guy really is. He had 6 championships going into 2020. This was the race he needed to win to get his 7th championship. He started in 6th in qualifying with a Mercedes that was the fastest, but did not do so great in the rain conditions. Even Bottas himself qualified in P9. Starting the race, it did not seem like Hamilton was really comfortable with how wet the conditions were. So he ends up pitting. Hamilton switches from wet tires to inter tires on lap 8 of 58 to make himself more comfortable and keep up the pace. Through pit stops and through driving a perfectly done race, he passes people left and right. Both Vettel and Verstappen get passed from Hamilton, driving consistently and being the fastest driver on the grid in an extremely tricky race at Istanbul Park. While others are pitting, Hamilton is driving and keeping his 50-lap intermediates run to the flag and winning this race by 31.6 seconds, the third biggest margin of his F1 career. Vettel even talks about Hamilton having one of those drives that it wasn't even his race to win, and he still won it. Once again, he managed to pull something out of the bag. Vettel quote from himself. In tricky conditions, in dry conditions, in whatever conditions you want, Hamilton is there to win, winning his 7th world championship, making him tied with Michael Schumacher to just define his career just that much more as the greatest of all time driver, statistically and shown by his pace throughout his whole entire career. What did you guys think of the video? Hamilton's move from McLaren was a huge one at the time, and really this is what happened while he was at Mercedes. These are his career-defining moments. Let me know what you guys thought. What other moments would you guys have put as really the career-defining moments for Hamilton in his career? Please leave a like, subscribe, it would mean the world, and peace.